Do we deserve to make a little money when we help someone buy a car? Yeah, we do. By definition, what you do for a living is hard, I think. Are you guys on salary? Some of you on salary, most of you are on what? So you get paid based on what you produce, okay? Are you abused by customers?
Yes.
Do you work evenings?
Yes.
Weekends?
Yes.
Holidays? Okay. I just described a really hard job, all right? If it's a hard job, you deserve to make a lot of money, okay? We deserve to make a profit. What's the next paragraph say? Stop right there. Tamika, what do you do for a living?
I'm a salesperson.
So you sell cars?
Yes.
Okay. Hannah, what do you do for a living?
I'm a sales professional.
You sell cars?
Very much.
Okay. John, what do you do?
I'm a sales consultant.
So you sell cars?
I do.
Okay. I don't want you to ever sell another car
No.
or truck, new or used. Let me ask you a question. In Texas, on a Saturday morning, someone's in the market for a new or used car. They're sitting around the kitchen table. Do they say something like this? Let's go get sold a car today. They say, let's go buy a car. Do people like to be sold?
No.
Do they love to buy?
Yes.
And I learned what I'm about to say from a salesman about 5 or 6 years ago in St. Louis. Good salesperson. And like I said earlier, I'm blessed because I get to work with some of the top salespeople, sales managers, F&I managers, GMs, dealers in the country. Bless you. I wouldn't dream of teaching you anything that I learned about selling cars in the 80s. First of all, it would make you a convicted felon if I did. And secondly, I wasn't nearly as good as the sales people I've met in the last 4 or 5 years. But this salesman was demonstrating a meet and greet to me. He said, Steve, I tell you what, the meet and greet I do seems to work real well, and all the people around the table went, yeah, he's 35 cars a month. Sounds to me like his meet and greet's working pretty well. He said, when I meet and greet the customer, I ask them if they're here to see anybody in particular. In fact, John, be my customer. John, you here to see anybody in particular?
No, sir.
Okay. Quick question. Have you done your research on the internet?
Yes.
Okay, good. If you're like most of my customers, the last thing in the world you need today is someone trying to sell you a car. Am I right? Look, if you ain't buying today, if you're just looking, that's perfectly fine with me. It looks like I'm a car salesman, and I used to be. I quit selling cars about 2 years ago. I discovered that most people had enough research under their belt that they had a pretty good idea of what they wanted. And I also learned that they really liked to buy and they hated to be sold. So 2 years ago, I started helping people buy cars. I quit selling them. Can I do that for you today?
We can try that.
What do you think that does to the customer? Big time. Because when the customer walks on the lot, is it, hot dog, there's Ernie, let's give him a hug. He's a car salesman. That doesn't exactly happen, does it?
No.
What sort of state is the customer in when you meet and greet him?
Get away from me.
Defensive, scared, wary. They're not tickled pink to see us. So anything we could do to disarm them, and by the way, and I'm dead serious about this, I'm trying to change my vernacular. I am trying to quit selling cars. I'm trying to, even when I talk about it, talking about helping people buy cars. I think if you quit selling cars, and I'm not talking just about the semantics of it, it's an entire attitude. It's a way of doing business. Now, I'm not talking about hugging your customer and not closing and hoping they come back to see you. I ain't talking about that, okay? I mean, my expertise is closing. My expertise is handling objections. My expertise is reclosing. And as we go on, if you guys learn how to do this stuff quick enough, then when I come back, I'll teach you how to become master closers. I'll teach you objections. How many objections can you get when you're in the closing sequences? That is so wrong. That is so wrong. If you get me to write-up, do I like you?
No. Wait, what?
More likely if you have been.
John, if I don't like you, am I getting to write-up?
No.
No. If you get me to write-up, if you got me on a vehicle I would probably like to drive home, yes. If I didn't like the vehicle, I wouldn't get to write-up. It's not all that much fun hanging around here. If I don't like you or you don't have me on the right vehicle, if I'm not okay with Clay Cooley, am I going to get to write-up?
No.
So, you've done way more right than wrong. You get me to write-up. There's only 4 objections you can get now. What are they?
I don't like the color.
No! If I don't like the color, I'm going to say that out there.
The price.
Good thing I'm here. Okay?
That's the only.
Man and machine have already been taken care of, Rob.
But yeah,
So what are the 4 objections you can get?
interest rate.
She's a Nissan, not a Kia.
Oh, no, I hope we're not talking interest rates. Okay? Tim said price. Can we get an objection to the price?
Yes.
I want, how much better can you do?
Yeah.
How much bigger discount can I get? Okay?
Trade.
You ain't giving me enough for my trade. What else?
I need that much down.
That cash ain't working for me. I thought I could get done with nothing down. Them payments way too high. Those are the only 4 objections you can get. Well, what about I want to think of that? That's not an objection. That's a stall, usually masking an objection.
Yeah.
I need to talk to my spouse. Now, they didn't have one when you were qualifying, but now they've got one. Okay?
Yeah.
That's a stall, usually masking an objection. So you've only got 4 objections to prepare for. If you don't have 4 or 5 ways to handle that price objection, if you can't take that payment objection and handle it 3 or 4 different ways, trade objection 3 or 4 different ways, cash, if you can't handle a cash down objection, you shouldn't be in the business. If you can't do those things, you're not prepared. However, most salespeople aren't prepared because they don't get trained particularly well. The training in the automobile business sucks. It's horrible. But most people that train automobile people suck. They're horrible. Cecil, I'm not. Okay? I'm not. I'm an exception. All right, how'd you people get me off on this tangent? Okay, this is not in the book.
It was the second paragraph.
Second paragraph? Okay, finish the second paragraph. Who was reading it?